Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Raygque. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Monday, April the 11th, 2022, and y'all decided to wake y'all asses up. It's your boy Raygque, brought to you by our good friends, Prize Picks. Yes, the MLB season is here. Jay, I'm excited. I actually turned on baseball. I'm like watching it now that we're into the sports betting, prop betting realm. Really fun, really exciting. Again, if you're in Arizona, use the promo code WAKEUP, dollar for dollar match up to $100. Subscribe to the podcast feed, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up button, like it, engage with the good people in the comments. Jay, my good friend, my brother from another mother, how you doing? From Canada, man. How you doing today? Canadian Jay Rich. How you doing, big dog?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, it's funny you mentioned baseball. I was watching the Red Sox Yankees last night. I almost threw on the Red Sox jersey this morning to remind Yankee fans that they ain't shit. But, you know, I decided to wake up, not choose violence, decided to play it calm, cool, collected, even though I was freaking out a little bit. Because our boy at ESPN, Jordan Reid, dropped a mock draft. We're going to talk about it today. I'm excited, man. 7 rounds. You know, every mock draft we've done, Kyron Williams hasn't been in any of them. But I can promise the people today, he's going to be drafted. So
let's
a good sign for our boy Kyron.
Let's say good morning to the people real quick. I cannot forget the people. Jeff, first person to comment. Good morning to you. Good sir. We got Shane, Joe, Marlon, James, always in the building. Matt Bruning, Brandon, GC, our boy Brandon Gonzalez, Mike A, always in the building. Fizzle Dollars in the building. KN. Gretchen, good morning. How are you doing? Joe, our girl, one of the first ladies at Destination Davy. How you doing? Big girl, how you doing? Well, let me not say, I say big dog, big girl. That's a term of endearment, right? That's my big dog. Can't call her big dog. She is a big dog, but you know what I'm saying. Joe, good to see you in the building. Big Shy in the building. Ro. Dan, Dylan, John's in the building. Man, a lot of good people. Ty Gump, good morning to you. Patrick Price, always here. Jay Peters, good to see y'all. And yes, as my friend Jordan said, we're going to take a look at Jay Reid, a friend of mine, mentor in the space, ESPN. Just a fantastic analyst, fantastic draft mind, and fantastic football mind. We're going to take a look at the fantasy relevant players from his mock. We'll link the mock in the description. Make sure you pay for his dope content. So we're not going to go through the whole thing. You got to check that out. But he did give us 263 picks in this mock. And this is where we're at. This is what we're going to be doing for the next 2.5 weeks. The NFL draft is, I think, Jay, like 16 days away, something like that, 17 days away from the actual NFL draft. So we're this close. We're almost there. And at this stage of the process, it's banana land right now. Yesterday, the big topic of discussion was Drake London and his ability to separate and doesn't matter and whose data's messed up and what does a contested catch even mean. I'm seeing Zamir White as RB1. Some people are throwing that out. I was on the Futurecast with Cody Carpentier. Shout out to Player Profile and Roto Underworld. We had a conversation about Kenny Pickett and quarterback value. And then for those of y'all who were on the stream on Thursday, Jay, it feels like decades ago that we did that show where I lost power. So if you were tapped in on Thursday and you were wondering what happened and why we had to do 2 shows, well, they're still building in the subdivision that I live in, and apparently they hit a line, something like that. Boom, power was out for like 30 minutes. Jay and I came back and did another 45-minute show after the fact. So hopefully, fingers crossed, no power outage. No, it's not cheap internet. Yes, I did pay my bill. I promise you, somebody outside is the one who cut the power off. But Jay, there was some news that came out of the NFL this past weekend. I think it's the biggest piece of news. Quite unfortunate, man.
Yeah, like you said, unfortunately, the past few days we learned that Dwayne Haskins, Pittsburgh Steelers, passed away in an unfortunate accident. And, you know, you see the ripple effect and the people that he touched. You know, you see his Ohio State teammates coming out, putting out statements. You see the videos of him walking through the Ohio State locker room. It's just sad, man. It's just breaks my heart to hear someone like again, for both of us, even for me, like I'm only 28. He's 4 years younger than me. Like he's almost the same age as my brother, man. Like it's just, regardless of what you think about him as a player, like that's a man, that's a person. He's got a family, he's got loved ones. Like just can't do anything but
Yeah.
wish the absolute best for his family, his teammates, everyone who supported him to that point. Because the man was literally living all of our dreams, most people's dreams of playing in the NFL and playing at a high
Yeah.
level. You can't disrespect anyone like that. And, we see a few people put out things that weren't so nice about Dwayne Haskins, but nothing the best for Dwayne Haskins, his family, and his teammates and everyone impacted by his death.
Well said, man. And like you said, I don't. It's a life, man. I don't give a shit what he did on the football field. I don't care if he was a holiday. Your life is not measured, or the value of your life isn't measured by how successful you were on a football field, or how successful you were in your job. That's a son, that's a brother, that's a nephew, that's a friend, that's a son. And that's what's most important. And to see anybody lose their life in a tragic way like that so early, it's just very sad. You see the news and you see the video of him as a kid, man, saying that, like, he had the 7 Haskins jersey on, saying like, I'm gonna play here, like I'm going to school here, I'm going to college here. He had to have been like 8 years old at the time, and to actually fulfill that dream at the highest level. Like only 1% of, like less than 1% of people get to play collegiate sports, and to play at the highest level and be drafted as a first-round pick and play in the NFL. As you said, that's a dream that we've all had, right? Man, I wish I can go out there and see what it's like. So very, very tragic news. Rest in heaven, Dwayne Haskins. Just want to send thoughts and prayers to his family, and I think it's a good reminder to us. It's crazy how death just reminds us how fragile life is, and how precious each moment is, and how we don't know, you never know. So you got to live it to the fullest. You got to enjoy it. You got to appreciate every moment that you're here. Make good impacts on people, man. Be good peoples. Be good peoples is sort of my mantra, man. Be good peoples, and just try to live life the best you can. So shout out to everybody out there who have a lot of positive things to say about Dwayne Haskins, and those who don't, maybe you guys should look yourselves in the mirror. But as we talked about going in the show, and Joe kind of said it earlier on in the chat, I'm trying to pull it up on the screen. Here it is right here. She said, this period right here is where people start planting false seeds for the upcoming draft. It's insane. I mean, we went from, it's the evolution of the draft, Jay. We go from, it's a 3-headed race at running back. It's Hall, Spiller, Walker, and then it sort of separates itself, and then it's Hall by himself, and then maybe Walker by himself, and then Spiller a little bit later. Now it's gone complete kamikaze, and now it's like I'm seeing stuff, pump the brakes on Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker's RB1, Zamir White's RB1, hell, James Cook. It's starting to get crazy. And this is where I always talk about, and I preach, be mindful of the content you consume, because you listen to this person, now Kenny Pickett sucks. This it's crazy. It's crazy. So we are going to take a look at the 7-round NFL mock draft by Jordan Reid. These are really good exercises. And I think this one, man, if we do a mock based on these landing spots, this one would be quite interesting. I think we've got to do this on Thursday, especially with this one. So this mock was just released, Jay, what? An hour ago?
Hour and a half ago.
Hour and a half ago. Do you want to just get into it? I mean, we got a super chat right here. I got to do this. We got to start off. We didn't have any super chats last week. We got to start it off. $2 for you, Jay. You are starting the week off on a good foot.
This one's for you, man.
Oh, this is for, yes, thank you. I will apply this. Thank you, Ty. I will apply this to
That's
about
to 50 cents
company.
USD. So
yes.
Have fun with that.
Every dollar counts. I am positive GQ today. Positive GQ. Every dollar counts. But let's get into it. Ray, Cody said, did you hear the pod on The Athletic? I sure did. I did listen to it. Can we start Ray G DB1? I still can backpedal, man. I'm going to run a 40. I want to show people. I don't know why people don't think I'm athletic, man. I don't get this one, Jay. But let's dive into this mock, man. And let's start it off. Fantasy relevant players only. Jay, you want to kick us off? Round 1, what do we have? The first couple of picks in round 1 per Jordan Reid.
So first pick, 2 overall. We've been seeing it, and he mentioned it in his breakdown. You either love it or you hate it. Malik Willis at 2 to the Detroit Lions. And the next pick, following it up, we've seen this a ton. Kenny Pickett to the Carolina Panthers. It almost feels like it's going to happen at this point, right? And if for some reason you don't think he's going to go there, we'll see. But Kenny Pickett to Carolina, David Tepper, Pitt alum, it just seems inevitable. Malik going to Detroit, we'll see what happens. But again, these are the top two quarterbacks, the only two quarterbacks drafted in the first round. And then the next two picks, you got Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State University to the New York Jets. It's kind of between him and Drake London right now as to whether or not who's going to go there at 10. And then you have Drake London going at 11 to the Washington Commanders. So, Ray, where are you at with those first four picks? We've seen a lot of this already. We've seen these players mocked there a lot. So how do you feel about this, and where do you think Reid's head is at with these picks?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I look at Detroit, I know a lot of people are saying, you don't take a quarterback that has to sit, that's a project. You don't take that quarterback at number 2 overall. But we all agree, and everybody's agreeing that Malik, if he can incubate, if he's got time to marinate, to sit, to learn, like the upside is crazy high. Everybody agrees that that's the case with Malik Willis. And I think Detroit is a good spot to sit and learn. I don't think Jared Goff is the worst quarterback in the NFL. He may not be the best, but he's shown that he can be a competent passer in the NFL. And I think there's no rush to put Malik Willis on the field behind Jared Goff. So I do think that's a good situation for him or any rookie quarterback to step into, to learn, to develop. You've got a solid offensive line. We talked about this, right? Solid offensive line. They've got weapons. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, DJ Chark. They probably drafted another wide receiver here, TJ Hawkinson. This is a good situation, in my opinion. I think it's one of the best situations for a rookie quarterback to step into. So I like Malik at 2. Jay, we keep talking about it. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Kenny Pickett's going to be the number 6 overall pick. If I were going to put the mortgage and bet a large amount of money on any draft slot for any player, it would be Carolina taking Kenny Pickett. They cannot roll out Sam Darnold or PJ Walker or whomever else it is at quarterback and expect that team to be competent. So I like it. Jets are going wide receiver. We continue to talk about this. Is it Wilson? Is it Olave? Is it London? Is it Burks? Is it Jameson Williams? We're seeing all kinds of receivers here. So flip a coin. I'm fine with Garrett Wilson here. I asked the question again, what does this do for Elijah Moore? They seem sort of like redundant assets to me. In my opinion, it just seems redundant. I hear a lot of people saying, Drake London's not a good fit in New York. I actually wholeheartedly disagree. I think it's a great fit. You put Drake London with Elijah Moore, I think you've got a big-bodied possession-type receiver that can stretch the field. Let Elijah Moore do what he does well, commanding targets out of the slot at the flanker Z position. I think it's a great fit for Drake London in New York, but other people see otherwise. You put him in Washington, him with Terry McLaurin. That's a formidable offensive tandem at the wide receiver position. I think that would be a good spot for Drake London. Help Terry McLaurin out as well. He's been the only competent pass catcher there over the past 3 years, so they need an upgrade at the wide receiver position. So I like those first 4 picks from Jordan. I'll tackle the next ones if that's cool, Jay. Just go through the next couple. So we've got the New Orleans Saints selecting Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. The Green Bay Packers go with Chris Olave out of Ohio State. And we've got to throw in the Dallas Cowboys pick. It isn't fantasy relevant in the terms of you're going to start a positional player from this draft, but I would be ecstatic if the Cowboys selected Tyler Linderbaum, the center out of Iowa, plug-and-play guy. I know he's got short arms. I know people are a little concerned. He's nasty. I love him. I would love that fit for Dallas. Would be over the moon happy, and I would buy a Tyler Linderbaum jersey if that in fact were the case. We see the Tennessee Titans select Treylon Burks at 26. We're seeing more and more of this in mocks. Treylon Burks to Tennessee. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't trade up. They do get a wide receiver at the back of the first round, and it's Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver out of Penn State. So we see 4 more wide receivers, come off of the board in this mock after pick 19. No running backs, no more quarterbacks, no tight ends. What are your thoughts with these landing spots and the players who fell into these slots?
I like it a lot. I didn't expect to see Jameson Williams at 19 there to the Saints, but, like we saw in the past week, the Saints traded for a second first-round pick at 19, and the other one was at 16. They actually took Charles Cross in this mock at 16, so they build the offensive line like we talked about last week, and they get an explosive playmaker. And I think it's a really good fit. We know what Michael Thomas does, and the one thing he doesn't really do is stretch the field. What the Saints need is a field stretcher and a guy who can dominate on the outside, and that is Jameson Williams. Chris Olave to the Green Bay Packers is interesting. I think it's a good fit from the standpoint of Rodgers likes to get the ball out quick. They need someone that can get in and out of routes. Like we've talked about, experience, going to know the playbook quickly, going to develop quickly, and is going to be ready to play week one. Then you talk about Treylon Burks in Tennessee. I'm seeing this more and more. I don't really know how I feel about it because I just don't think he can overtake A.J. Brown as the alpha.
No.
So if you think,
he can't.
beta role in Tennessee isn't going to be a very fruitful one on a low passing offense, then Jahan Dotson. I don't get it. I think that, he can be a good receiver on that offense. I just don't know how he really fits into, like, how is he much better than what Juju does already, right? Like, you can say what you want about Juju, but I think that Jahan Dotson and Juju can do similar things well. They're both shifty. They both run good routes. They both can catch the ball well. Jahan Dotson maybe more ready to play outside, but we don't know that he can do that and succeed at 5'9". What is he, 185 pounds? So I think from that standpoint, I think it's a fine fit. I think they need a receiver. I just don't know if I would peg Jahan Dotson as the guy personally. Where are you at with some of these guys? And more importantly, how do you feel about Chris Olave to Green Bay? Because I think that's going to be the most polarizing of these four picks.
I've been saying it. I think it's the best. When I look at wide receiver, team fit, quarterback fit, outside of, and I'm talking about within reason, right? Yes, I think Garrett Wilson would be a good fit there. I don't think there's any way in hell Garrett Wilson falls to 22. I love it. I think this is he is a technician. He's an experienced wide receiver. He's got the speed. I think he would step into the number 2 role immediately and have a chance to develop as the season progresses with Aaron Rodgers to potentially be their number 1 wide receiver. I think it's a great fit in Green Bay for Chris Olave. I like the fit of Chris Olave in Green Bay more than I do Treylon Burks. More than, Jameson Williams. I think it's one of the best scheme team fits for a wide receiver in this draft. I still like Treylon in Tennessee. I think that would just make I think that would help Ryan Tannehill, obviously. And then you still have Robert Woods there. Let's not forget you've got Robert Woods there. So he's got some experience to sort of learn behind those guys. And there's still a lot of question marks. I'm seeing a lot of Tennessee trade A.J. Brown talk. So not even for certain that he's going to be with Tennessee long term. But that's round 1. Let's jump into round 2. And we'll just go through a couple of picks really quickly. At 34, the Detroit Lions select Christian Watson at the top of the second. The Seattle Seahawks go quarterback with Matt Corral out of Ole Miss at 40. 2 picks later, the Colts take Desmond Ridder at 42. And then 5 picks after that, we see the Washington Commanders take a quarterback as well in Sam Howell. So we see 3 quarterbacks go off the board within 7 picks at the top of the second round. I think that's a really good spot for a lot of these quarterbacks. We'll talk about the landing spot in a second. The Chicago Bears take Sky Moore, so they get Justin Fields some wide receiver help at 48. At 53, the Green Bay Packers dip back into the wide receiver pool, and they take George Pickens, the wide receiver out of Georgia. At 54, the New England Patriots. What a Patriots pick. They take John Mechie III in the second round at pick 54, pairing him up with his college quarterback, Mac Jones. The Dallas Cowboys find some relief at wide receiver with South Alabama wideout Jalen Tolbert at 56. We see our first running back off the board at 57 in Breece Hall. The Packers go back to the offensive side of the ball, and they take tight end 1, Trey McBride, at the back of the second at 59. And then 63, the hot name, Jelani Woods, who tests a lot faster than he plays. You watch any Jelani Woods, I'm just not in, man. He looks like just a big lumbering. Reminds me of Mo Alley Cox. I know he tested like a ridiculous athlete, but he does not play fast at all. I'm not in on it. But the Bengals take Jelani Woods at 63. So we see 3 quarterbacks off of the board, multiple wide receivers. We finally get a tight end and our running back 1 off the board. What are you thinking about these landing spots and draft capital for these particular quarterbacks, Jay?
So let's start with the quarterbacks, right? Like, I think that more importantly, it's Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, right? They're all within a few picks of each other. In my opinion, Sam Howell, by far the best slot. I think that Washington's going to have the right pieces around him. They obviously have the best team. They're not rebuilding. You've talked about how you like Matt Corral in Seattle. I'm okay with it. This is the second time we've talked about this a little bit. And I think it could be a fit because, Seattle is trying to, unload some assets. We expect them to potentially trade DK to, recuperate 2 first-round picks, a first and a second, whatever they end up getting for him. And then you got Desmond Ridder in Indianapolis. And this is something we saw early on in the draft process, but then it's, kind of been wavering since. We've seen him as a borderline first-round pick. We've seen him to Pittsburgh. We've seen him up super high in drafts. But I think that Indy would be a good fit. They brought in Matt Ryan, so they do have a solidified quarterback there for at least the year. And all three of these quarterbacks outside of Matt Corral can kind of learn under a veteran, whether it's learning from Carson Wentz, learning from Matt Ryan. I think those are good spots for both these guys. I think they need a year to really develop. And then you have Corral, who, I know that you love Corral, and I don't know if I'd want to throw him into the fire, but
I do.
I mean, he would get thrown into the fire, and he may not have DK, and it could be really bad early for Corral.
He's going to have DK. DK is going to be there. DK is going to be there.
If you believe in Pete, that's fine. But I think I would be considering, Sam Howell in the back of the first if he went to Washington early in the second round.
I think they were all good spots for the quarterbacks. I think Washington's a good spot for Sam. I think Indy is a great spot for Ritter. And I think Seattle seems to be the spot for Matt Corral. There's no way they're going to roll out, Drew Lock and nobody else. I think they're taking a quarterback. We'll see which one they feel confident in. I am still a big Matt Corral fan, as were half of the world, throughout the college football season. I don't know why his stock is taking a dip, but I'm still Matt Corral QB1. If he gets this type of draft capital, he's still going to be a first-round pick in super flex drafts. Sky Moore to Chicago, I love that pick. Christian Watson to Detroit, some time to learn behind, DJ Chark. He's got all the measurables and the athleticism that you want, but he's still an FCS wide receiver transitioning to the NFL. So learning with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with DJ Chark, with some of those older veterans probably would help him out quite a bit. And everyone's saying, I forgot to say where Breece Hall went, but I said RB1 to Buffalo, RB1. Breece Hall, Buffalo Bills at pick 57 seems to be the hot noise. It's going to be interesting to see what Buffalo does at running back. We all want him, all want Buffalo to take a running back. They seem to play fine. It doesn't seem like running back was the issue as to why they lost, in the playoffs, but that would be a home run spot. I mean, Breece Hall to Buffalo, my goodness. Trey McBride to Green Bay. RIP Josiah DeGuara. Told you to stash him for low. If that happens, it's over, right? But he didn't cost you anything. And if it doesn't, he's still got a shot. The Cowboys going with Jalen Tolbert, I kind of like the fit. I mean, him and CeeDee Lamb, a physical presence, and Jalen Tolbert. I actually really like that for Dallas. Again, lower level of competition will need some time to incubate and to bake and to get better. But I kind of like the fit for Dallas and Dak Prescott. What are your thoughts on John Mechie to New England? If you're going to take her, I don't know.
Well, John Mechie, the thing about him is he's a really well-coached kid out of Alabama by Nick Saban. So,
he's
going to really fall in line. He's going to know the playbook. He's going to be, first one in, last one out. First of all, I mentioned on the show I love John Mechie. I think there's a world where he really could be – he probably should be the slot. He probably should take Jacoby Myers' job, but the thing for me is he won't, right? The Patriots don't have the weapons on the outside for that to happen. So I think that Mechie would be forced outside into a role that maybe isn't best suited for him in the NFL, and so he would struggle early. But I think if he was able to take over that slot role, we know that the Patriots system and the way that they play, that could be very fruitful for them. And as well, the connection with Mac Jones is important because we've seen how that can help some of these rookie quarterbacks early in their careers.
Yep.
And that's another reason why I do like the fit, but I just don't like it from the standpoint of I don't really want Patriots wide receivers. They haven't shown the ability to develop. They haven't shown the ability to draft. It's a fine pick. I expected him to go second, third round, and I think that the ACL injury is dropping him a little bit.
Yep.
He's more talented than people give him credit for. But, again, it depends on how you feel about him. Do I like him over Jalen Tolbert? It depends. And in Dallas, I think that's a better spot for a wide receiver. So, I don't know. The pick I don't like more than anything is Sky Moore, man. Sky Moore
don't like
to Chicago. I don't like Chicago. That's the problem. I like what he does well. I think he can fit with Fields, but Fields has been just throwing the ball deep more than he's throwing the ball short. So if Sky Moore is going to be an intermediate guy, and assuming that they keep Darnell Mooney on the outside, I don't really know how good of a fit that is for Sky Moore and kind of what his outlook looks like in that offense. And as well, I don't like the offense. So I don't really want him to go there. I think that Pickens would be the wide receiver one in Green Bay in short order. I don't think people should get it twisted. Yeah, 100%. Don't 100%. If Pickens goes in the second round and you take Olave in the first, Olave is not the wide receiver one because he was taken first. I think that Pickens would be the X wide receiver and he would operate in that fashion. It's just this is the order you have to take them in to get those guys in the draft. This is just playing the draft board and what you expect to happen. So you need to take Olave in the first because he's going to be a first-round pick, and then you take Pickens in the second. I think it's a great situation. The Packers, like you said, reloading. Pickens, Olave, and Trey McBride is a great start to a new offense for Aaron Rodgers in this new contract.
I do not get where this is coming from. Like, I don't get it. Like, the question is, for those of y'all listening on the phone, is it concerning that everyone's favorite must be from Canada because how they spell favorite? I've learned, Jay. I've learned from you.
There you go.
Everyone's favorite wide receiver, Drake London, has someone on his hip like every catch. Where are we getting this at? Like, I just posted it. Go to Raygque's Twitter. I posted 2+ minutes of Drake London. There's nobody, like, where do people... YouTube is a hell of a drug, because if you watch any bit of actual game film, this is so far from the truth. It's just not accurate. I'm not crapping on Johnny Little Crap, and that is Lily Crap, and that is not. I'm not making fun of someone's name. That's what the YouTube name says. I'm not making fun. This is so far from the truth. It's maddening at this point. Like, go watch a game and you tell me if somebody is on his hip every single play. That and I know he's not saying, or she, every single reception, but this is not true. Like, I don't get it. This is not true. That's all I can say. This is not true. Lily Crap. That is the name, and I'm not being funny. Okay, round 3 of Jay Reid's mock, and we'll kind of go through these a little faster. We got the Giants at 67 going with Greg Dulcich. I like him at tight end. The Texans at 68 selecting Kenneth Walker III. The Atlanta Falcons 74 selecting Calvin Austin. The Cleveland Browns take Antoine Pierce, the wide receiver out of Cincinnati, our favorite wide receiver in this draft. The Houston Texans, again, back up at 80. They take Khalil Shakir, the wide receiver out of Boise State. The Atlanta Falcons back up at 82, and they select Isaiah Spiller. Falcons get Isaiah Spiller. The Eagles go Wan'Dale Robinson. The Detroit Lions go back to the wide receiver pool and take David Bell. The Saints get a quarterback in Carson Strong. The Miami Dolphins take James Cook, another running back, to a very messy backfield. And the Kansas City Chiefs take the slow and unathletic Isaiah Likely, as evidenced by his RAS score that we saw the other day, 4.8 for Isaiah Likely in round 3. So there goes your day 2 draft capital right there. We got 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. We got a quarterback. We got multiple wide receivers. What are your favorite landing spots here for me? It's quite obvious. It's Kenneth Walker and Isaiah Spiller for me. Walker to Houston, Spiller to Atlanta. I think those are 2 home run landing spots with requisite draft capital, which should solidify both of those guys. I mean, Kenneth Walker was already solidified as a first-round rookie draft pick. This would solidify Isaiah Spiller, probably going in that 109 to 111 range in Superflex rookie drafts. James Cook to Miami, no interest. I mean, at that point, like, it's even messier, no interest whatsoever. Wan'Dale Robinson to Philly, not the wide receiver that Philadelphia Eagles fans were hoping for, and we have not forgotten an Eagles pick. This is their first wide receiver selected. So a bunch of Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith, which I'm fine with as a manager of both across multiple dynasty leagues. What are your thoughts, favorite picks in this draft? And I do like the Giants grabbing the tight end out of UCLA at the top of the 3rd.
So I think, like you said, right, it's all about K9 and Isaiah Spiller as the 2 marquee picks here. I don't actually mind Greg Dulcich at 67 to the New York Giants. I think it's a good fit with Kyle Rudolph leaving, and so there's a vacant spot there for him to potentially fill that role. And we've seen how athletic he is at the combine. It's a role that he could fill pretty easily. I'm curious how David Bell would fit into this Detroit offense, right? You're already talking about taking Christian Watson. You got Malik Willis. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got DJ Shark for a year. You got TJ Hawkinson. It's just a lot of guys. And I guess they're just trying to, put together talent, and ultimately it'll weed out who the guys who play are. Carson Strong to the Saints is interesting because if you pair Carson Strong with, Michael Thomas and Jamison Williams, and maybe they bring in another guy, like, I think there's a world where that could be a decent fit if the veteran quarterbacks don't work out. So I kind of like the fit. I think it's pretty good, but for me, it's all about the running backs here. Khalil Shakir, okay in Houston. Again, it's about open targets, right?
What do you think about Pierce in Cleveland, man, with Deshaun Watson?
It's fine, right? I think if you're making that pick, you're assuming that DPJ is probably on the way out. I think that's kind of the way that he can kind of fit into the offense. He's not going to replace Amari Cooper, right?
No.
Unless Amari Cooper moves to the slot, which I don't see happening. Then you have DPJ probably at the X, and then you got David Njoku at tight end. He would just be a backup, right? And him and Anthony Schwartz would probably be trying to split time for the outside role.
Marlon said if we wait to draft a wide receiver till late day 2, I'm flying to Philly and burning it down. FBI at Marlon's door real quick. Marlon, I just outed you to the feds. I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
Wandell, don't burn it down. I don't know, man. Do I even care if Wandell goes there? I think I'm just out on Wandell. I think maybe 3rd round. I'm like maybe, but Nick Sirianni is gonna have him running the Rondell Moore specials, and I'm out at that point. I don't want him. So I think we can move on to the 4th because I don't want James Cook either in Miami. He's
go ahead.
No good.
Give the highlights in the 4th. I mean.
Okay, so first pick, right? We got Justin Ross to the Jaguars. We got Jerome Ford to the Jets, Tyler Algier to Denver, Jeremy Ruckert to the Saints, Romeo Doubs to the Colts, Kevin Austin to the Ravens, Kyle Phillips to the Bills, Tennessee taking Chigozima Okwong. I don't even know how to say it.
Good job. You did a good
Close
job.
Close enough. Cut it out of Maryland. Pierre Strong to the Chiefs. That's interesting. And then you got Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor to Pittsburgh and Bailey Zappi to Tennessee in the 4th round.
And so, you love you some Justin Ross. How do you like that? Pairing him up with this college quarterback in the 4th round.
I mean, Jay Reid said it. He laid it out for you. Pairing him with the college quarterback, there's not a better fit for Justin Ross than to go to the top of the 4th to the Jaguars, right? The Jaguars don't have any capable pass catchers. We know this. Sorry, Christian Kirk. You got the bag, but you're not necessarily going to command all these targets unless there's nobody there. So if you get Justin Ross there, if he is healthy and, things do start to go his way, there is a world where he could be the alpha. He's been the alpha before on an offense with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. So I think this is the best case scenario in an offense that would really fit his skills and probably quite similar to what they ran at Clemson. I also really like Tyler Algier to Denver. I think it's a good backup plan for Javonte Williams, and I'm not really sure how the managers feel about that, but if anything ever happens, I think he would slot into that role and fill that void pretty easily. And then talk about Jerome Ford to the Jets to be the complement to Michael Carter. That's another fit that I'm starting to be happy with, but we'll see because in round 5, they take another running back, so I'm not really too happy about that. But the bigger thing is Pierre Strong to the Chiefs. You've talked about Pierre Strong and how you like his game, but, we haven't seen the All-22, so it's hard to fully assess.
I like him though, man. I like him.
Again, it's a wide open running back situation.
YouTube highlights, I like it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. All right, round 5. Let's go. Giants. Rachaad White at 147 in round 5. The Cowboys doesn't matter. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is good for Travis Etienne. They take Hassan Haskins, who would be the bruiser back in that offense if he got an opportunity. The Colts take Charlie Kohler. Jay, we talked about how slow we thought he was. While I was on the Futurecast, do you know what he ran at his pro day? Carpentier told me he was like a 4.5.
Must have been a 4.7.
No, it was like 4.5, 4.6. Yeah, man.
No way.
Yeah, bro. Like I said the same thing.
Man, that's wild. He does not look that fast.
I would have lost a lot of money because I did not imagine him being that fast. So the Colts take Kohler. Saints get Jake Ferguson, who, sorry, Adam Troutman truthers, I think Ferguson's a better tight end.
Man.
He's a better tight end than Adam Troutman. The Eagles take Brian Robinson in the 5th round. The Jets take Zamir White. There goes a lot of people's RB1 here in the 5th round to the Jets. The Titans take Dameon Pierce, also in the 5th round. The New England takes a tight end out of San Diego State. It's not going to work. Tyler Batty to San Francisco at the back of the 5th. And then we've got Velus Jones from the Giants. Velus Jones from Tennessee being selected by the Giants in the 5th round. We move to round 6. Kyron Williams to Arizona in round 6. I'm looking at the notable picks. We get Kyron Williams off of the board. Ty Chandler to the Rams at the back of the 6th, as well as quarterback out of Notre Dame, Jack Cohen to the Los Angeles Rams in the 6th round. And then rounding out round 7, are there any sleepers that we like? Abram Smith, the running back out of Baylor to Tampa Bay at the back of the 7th round. Jalen Weidemeyer, almost Mr. Irrelevant, but he goes to the Arizona Cardinals in round 7. Sincere McCormick to the Chargers. Kennedy Brooks to Carolina. and nothing really else of consequence to talk about here from round 6 for fantasy purposes. I
No
meant from
love for
round
Abe
7.
Smith,
I
your
said Abe
boy.
Smith. Yeah, I said
Oh,
Abe
did you?
Smith to Tampa Bay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I must have missed
I
that.
mean, 7th-round running back. I have no interest in him. I mean, just a late-round dart throw at this point. And, yeah, that is the fantasy-relevant players from Reid's mock. So, real quick, let's just talk these running backs in round 5. Rachaad White to the Giants, Zamir White to the Jets, Brian Robinson to the Eagles, and Dameon Pierce to the Titans. How do you feel about those 4 landing spots for these running backs? And I'll just say for me, Jay, this feels around where they probably should go, round 5.
Yep.
I don't think these are round 2 running backs. We both like Rachaad White. I think he's a day 3 running back. Dameon Pierce, I like him. He's a day 3 running back. Zamir White, I like him. In my opinion, I'm not taking Zamir White. Like, if you're an NFL team, I just can't take that type of running back who doesn't catch the ball, who has had to, I don't care how good he looks now. He's torn his knee up twice, each knee. I can't take those guys on day 2. I can't take him with a round 2 pick. I can't take him with a round 3 pick. Brian Robinson, I like his game. I'm not taking him on round 1 or round 2. I think round 4, round 5 is probably where we see some of these running backs come off of the board. So how do you feel about, and I forgot to mention Hassan Haskins to Jacksonville, which running back would you have more interest in if this in fact played out? For me, Jay, it would probably be Zamir in New York with Michael Carter.
Okay.
I mean, what is Dameon Pierce going to do behind Derrick Henry besides watch?
Mm-hmm.
What is Haskins going to do? He's not going to get the passing down work in Jacksonville. B-Rob in Philly, that just seems like
That's
this
a bad
just seems,
fit.
it just you got Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders. They brought back Boston Scott. You've got Kenny Gainwell. Now you put Brian Robinson in the mix.
Well, you think about it, they're just reuniting college teammates, Brian Robinson and Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts from back in the
Yeah.
day. 2017 All-Stars at Alabama. But I'm surprised you mentioned Rachaad White. Rachaad White, yeah, he'll have to sit for the first year, but do we really expect Saquon to be back for year 2?
Man.
And so, I mean, if you're taking a shot, I don't mind taking a shot on Rachaad White if you assume Saquon's gone, which I think every indication is that he will be gone. And then you talk about, to your point, Zamir White on the Jets, hoping for that immediate playing time, but I think he's going to split with Carter, and kind of like we saw at Georgia with Zamir White and James Cook. You have the passing down back and the primary back, and it's a good fit. And then, but again, you got 3 running backs there because they also drafted Jerome Ford. So I'm not really sure if White beats out Jerome Ford. But again, if you're projecting spots, that's kind of where I would go. Brian Robinson, you're basically praying he's Jordan Howard. So again, at that point, do I want him? Not really. Tyler Beatty, maybe, if you want to take a shot in San Francisco, but not a whole lot of confidence because Elijah Mitchell looked great there. Even though he's drafted low, looked great, played super well, and was the bell cow in that offense. Hassan Haskins, indifferent. Don't like, as to quote my man Raygque, it would be I'm flaccid on the situation. It's
flaccid.
not very interesting, but we'll see what happens. It's maybe could be a decent fit for a few touchdowns.
And for those who are asking, Jay asked about Beau Melton. Beau Melton was selected by San Francisco in the 6th round. And for a lot of people out there, I remember talking about Kevin Harris a while ago, and people were like, who the hell is Kevin Harris? And now a lot of people are like, yo, I kind of like this Kevin Harris. Kevin Harris was not drafted. Bam Knight, not drafted. Keontae Ingram, not drafted. Jerrion Ely, not drafted. Tyrion Davis-Price, per this mock, not drafted. Jashawn Corbin, Snoop Connor, Tyler Goodson, none of those guys were drafted. So they would be priority type free agents. I like Kevin Harris too. Like if when the first round of waivers go after the NFL draft and our rookie drafts, I will be targeting a Kevin Harris. But per this mock, Keontae Ingram were not drafted. I've got to ask you about Kyron Williams and how you feel about him in round 6 to Arizona, where right now it's James Conner, it's Eno Benjamin, and it's nobody. There's nobody else there. What do you think about Kyron in Arizona? I actually like the fit, and I think if this were to play out, 6th-round draft capital, nothing to get excited about. But I think the back of the 3rd, mid-back of the 3rd round of rookie drafts is where I'd feel comfortable taking Kyron. Another one of those guys where the tape looks good, testing was god-awful. What are you thinking about Kyron here to Arizona in the 6th round?
I think it's a good fit, right? I think they're going to need a guy to play out of the backfield because they can't just have James Conner run all those routes, and maybe they think they can do that. But I think that it's a great fit for Kyron Williams. They need a creative offense. They need some spread. They need, holes to be open, not a whole lot of, just drop back, I formation. They're going to run out of shotgun, which is what he's familiar with, right? And so I think it's a good fit with all the guys there. But I still don't love it. Again, he's 6th-round pick. We'll see what to
Yeah,
make of
I
it.
get it.
I like, honestly, Ray, I don't necessarily believe that there's any situation where I wouldn't consider Ty Chandler over him. There's similar draft capital in the 6th round, but I know that he will fit in with the Rams, regardless of what you think about Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, whoever's there at running back.
Yeah.
I think that Ty Chandler fits in much better on the Rams than Kyron Williams does on Arizona. A lot of good picks, in my opinion. Obviously dart throws in the 6th round, but we didn't even mention Grant Calcaterra going to Jacksonville. I think that's another really good fit. Formerly out of Oklahoma, really productive tight end. Just, he retired from football, came back, now finally being drafted. He could be a guy that people really sleep on and don't take because they don't really know the name and they're not familiar with how productive he used to be at Oklahoma. But playing for Jacksonville, again, another good spot, playing for a coach who used to throw to the tight end a lot. So I think it's a spot that could be very fruitful. And I don't mind Cole Turner also going to Minnesota. I talked to you about him. Now with Tyler Conklin being gone, there's another spot for someone to fill. I know everyone wants Irv Smith to be the guy, but if he's not the guy, they're going to need a tight end there to kind of fill that role.
I'll tell you who I like, man. The more I'm thinking about this, Ty Chandler in L.A., I mean, that's a good Darrell Henderson replacement, and I think he would push Cam Akers just to get on the field some, how dynamic he is. And I also like sneaky. It's round 7. It's late, but Sincere McCormick to the Chargers. They need another running back to complement Austin Eckler. Sincere is more of a banger, in my opinion, than he is an elusive, explosive, high-level Austin Eckler type running back. I kind of like that to the Chargers in round 7. When I'm saying I'm using that term in the 4th round rookie draft pick. But I'd be pretty in on Sincere McCormick in this mock that Jordan Reid did. So I think there were a lot of interesting landing spots in this one. And, again, as much as I like Brian Robinson and Zamir White, I think day 3 is more appropriate. Whether that's early day 3, mid-late 3, or late day 3, I think that's more appropriate range for these running backs. And this is a position that the NFL just does not seem to value, man. They just don't seem to value running backs to that degree. I know some people thought 57 for Breece Hall to Buffalo was late. I think that's pretty good.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. When we saw, last year in 2020, we saw, some of the top running backs in the draft class come off of the board in the 2nd round. I still think the 2nd round is turning into the new 1st round for the running back position. So this mock should be kind of chalky the first couple of picks, but I think by the time we get to 104, 105, things will get interesting when we do this exercise on Thursday. Jay, any final takeaways from this mock? And I'm putting you on the spot here. Your favorite pick of this mock was who?
I think it was probably George Pickens more than any of them. Like, we've talked about George Pickens going to play with Rodgers, and I think it's a great fit. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, what about Chris Olave? But I think that just makes them more deadly on offense, right? We've seen them as a one-show type of offense with only Devontae Adams, but imagine if Rodgers has Lazard and Pickens and Olave and McBride. That's a very capable offense and one that I think Pickens would really thrive in, and not have the pressure of having to be the sole guy there, which I think is really important playing for Rodgers and knowing that it will take some time to kind of mesh and gel overall. I love Olave. I think Pickens, though, has a much higher ceiling in that offense, and Olave can mask the pressure of having to be the top dog in Green Bay right away. What do you think about this draft, and where are you at?
My favorite pick in this draft, and I think for a variety of reasons. 1, the skill set of the player. 2, the landing spot of the player. And 3, what I believe the value this player would have if it happened and if he got on the field early, which you look at the running backs ahead of him, it's not stiff competition. But Pierre Strong in the 4th round to Kansas City, probably my favorite pick. It would be easy to go, Spiller in the 3rd to Atlanta. It's a great fit. Houston with Kenneth Walker, of course, that's a great fit. But when you're talking about a player whose value hasn't really caught up to, I believe, the production in his game, I do think that's Pierre Strong. And Pierre Strong gets round 4 draft capital to Kansas City. He's going to be a 2nd-round rookie pick. And I think he's better than Ronald Jones and probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Whether you use the landing spot of Kansas City to your advantage to flip for, 23 picks or 24 picks, it's definitely a route in which you can go. Or you held the player and said, I think he's a much better running back than Clyde and or Ronald Jones. I want to roll with Pierre Strong. I love the fit. I love the selection. I love the fit. I think it's my favorite pick in this draft is Pierre Strong to Kansas City. in the 4th round. While I like a lot of the other landing spots, obviously, right? I love Treylon in Tennessee. I'm a big fan of Kenneth Walker in Houston. I think my favorite spot in this mock was 100% Kansas City selecting Pierre Strong, and I think we're going to see that reflected in the. We keep doing super flex mocks. Do you want to switch it up and do a single quarterback? We got to. Do you want to switch it?
We can do it for this week. We'll do it this week for sure.
Let's do it. I think it'll make it even more difficult.
Yeah.
It's just going to make it even harder.
People ask us for the drop off at 1 QB. You'll see it on Thursday. It'll probably be right where we told you. About 2-1, 2-2 is where
I think it might be a little higher than that. But we'll do a single quarterback mock for Thursday. We've been doing Superflex. We got to show love to the 1 QBers out there. Jay, any final thoughts you want to say on the show? And give us the rundown of what we're doing this week, man.
So this week, I'm trying to think now because we've been changing it up a little bit, but we did this show today. Tomorrow was supposed to be top 10 dynasty QBs. We'll see. Wednesday is going to be a trade show. So for everyone who's been asking about trade shows, that will be on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we will be doing the actual review of the mock draft we do based off of this. So with the patrons, some of our high-tier Heisman members, we'll do another mock draft. We'll show you the results. We'll give you all the picks. And then we'll talk about, 1 QB will be interesting. But yeah, so Tuesday, tomorrow's show, we'll see if anything happens. Maybe we'll do that show, do the top 10 dynasty quarterbacks. But Wednesday will be a trade show. And then Thursday will be the mock draft show.
Marlon, shout out. He said, just got Patreon for the first time. It's only right to join the All Gas community. By the way, your frat brother, Omega Psi Phi Q-Dogs, baby. The nasty Q-Dogs in the building. Jock, my 07 Sans from LSU, Theta Kappa in the building, is in my Dynasty League Small World. Appreciate it. Marlon, appreciate y'all tapping in this week. And yes, as Jay alluded to, we've got a good show. We got the trade show on Wednesday. We've got quarterbacks. Sorry, Jay, I was reading it. So did you say quarterbacks tomorrow?
Yes. Quarterback should be tomorrow.
That's just going to be a shit show right there because there's going to be some dissension within the top 10, and we're going to give you top 12, stuff like that. Wednesday, Dynasty Trade Show, and then, yes, Thursday, single quarterback mock. We love the single quarterbacks out there. We love everybody tapping it. Stop, Jay. Get off the
look at what Remy said. Remy just sent you another super chat.
What did he say? We got another super chat? Oh, man, look at this, man. I'm going to pay you to do a 1 QB league. Please do it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Well, y'all have a fantastic start of the week. Have a beautiful Monday. Be blessed. Enjoy life. Have fun. Thank y'all for waking up for us. Subscribe to the podcast. Comment for the algorithm. Hit the thumbs up button. Tell your friends. Tell your girlfriend. Tell your boyfriend. Tap into the All Gas community. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. We out of this thing. Peace.